Don't say those words to me.
Oh, where am I? What's happening?
What?
Hey there, my name is Alex. I am the Silver Mont. And how about that Halo Infinite, huh? Bit late to be talking about it, you might be thinking, and well, you'd be right. Then again, the game took 250 years to add in online co-op, and co-op Halo is the only way to play campaign. On that note though, I've played all of the FPS Halo games, but I'm not exactly the world's #1 Halo fan. You could say I'm a casual fan of the series. I know who Sergeant Johnson is, I couldn't tell you his favourite colour. Halo Infinite is, effectively, Halo 6. After Halo 4, they ditched numbers because corporations are afraid of numbers. Instead, we had Halo Guardians, or Halo Guardian 5, which was terrible, and I remember nothing about it, really, other than Chief battering Locke with a gun and it ending with Cortana having an army of giant robot deathbirds. Boy, I said to myself, how on earth are they going to follow up on this? Turns out, they didn't. Halo Infinite is one of the most hilarious experiences I've had with video game storytelling, if we can call it that. See, Halo Infinite begins with them effectively pretending everything from the end of the last game didn't happen, because they couldn't think of any way to continue that plot thread, as they wrote themselves into a corner, didn't know how to have Chief fight against giant death robot bird things. Instead, Cortana, who now has the ability to effortlessly destroy planets, was mysteriously cornered and defeated by Atriox, the ultimate Chad brute who is so powerful he can not only split Master Chief in half without any effort, but can somehow defeat Cortana. I say somehow because the game doesn't really explain it. Cortana blows up his planet, and then he's like, "Oh, you Cortana, I'll get you for that." Then he does? Maybe there's some hidden audio log or data entry that explains it, but the actual game didn't really do that. I mean, that or I just forgot. Who knows? Either way, who cares? Atriox dies after queefing Master Chief into space, and the game starts months later. Don't you love that? You know how in Star Wars they had the Death Star? Didn't you like how they revealed the Death Star at the end of the first movie, and then the second movie began with them having already destroyed it, and they just didn't tell you how or explain any of that? It was really good how they did that. Chief decides he doesn't want the Banished, a huge splinter faction of the Covenant that exists for some reason, to have some new Halo they found for some reason, so he walks around it for some reason for a bit, whilst an unrelated brute screeches at him for some reason. Then he kills the brute, despite having no real need to, and an ugly woman who proclaims that it is too late for some reason, because things are happening for some reason. Things of plottual nature that cannot be stopped for some reason, and then the Endless are on their way back for some reason, and nobody can stop them for some reason. Do you remember how Halo 1, 2, and 3 had a story arc that more or less concluded with 3? You'd think 4, 5, and 6 might do the same thing, right? You know, Halo 4 is the reintroduction, you set up the threat, 5 is the low point where everything seems hopeless, and then in 6, you somehow manage to win. Instead, Halo 4 introduces a big butthead man as the threat, and then kind of forgets about it. Halo 5 introduces a whole new big threat, then pretends it never happened. Now Halo 6, you can see where I'm going with this, can't you? That's the plot, at any rate. That which we laughingly call plot. The story boils down in its minutiae to Chief, some Mexican guy, and not Cortana, aka the Weapon, who huff and puff at each other in an extremely generic manner. Which is a shame, because Halo always had quite a nice feel to it, an atmosphere, you might say. Some would call it space opera. I am a monument to all your sins. Well, I hope you remember lines like that one, because a quarter of the dialogue in Halo Infinite is just repeating lines from the other games, beating you over the head with it. Like, do you remember Cortana? Do you remember when she said the thing? awful, frankly. Makes me think of that new Matrix film, which isn't really that new anymore. It's been out for a couple years, but like a quarter of that movie was just, remember the Matrix? It's like, yeah, I can go watch that right now if I want to. Why am I watching this one? But that's enough about the story. It sucks. It's awful. It's laughably bad. How's everything else? Well, Halo Infinite is a soft reboot of the franchise. You can definitely see they were going for the Halo 1 feel. Almost all of Halo Infinite is effectively the second level from Halo 1. Halo, that's the name of the level. Alarmingly, however, for an open world game, the open world is both extremely small and has barely anything to do in it. My Xbox account says I have 888 minutes played in Halo Infinite. That's 15 hours, I think. And we did virtually everything in the open world. And we spent a lot of time messing around with, my friend would get in a Banshee, I would grapple onto it, and we would amuse ourselves like that for like an hour. So, yeah, that's not great. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I wanted Halo to be some huge, giant, open world game like, the Ubisoft ones, where you open the map and there's 2 billion pointless things to do. But you have to do kind of something with it, the way I see it. You either make a small but densely featured world, like, say, Dark Souls, or a huge world that relies on more copy-paste elements, like, to go with another Souls game, Elden Ring, which I'm gonna say is a Souls game, or something like Just Cause, where the world is huge, and it's effectively a sandbox for you to play around in. Yeah, Halo Infinite is small, has virtually nothing to do. The main campaign features very little variety. You go into some buildings that all look the same, you go to the top or the bottom of the building, and then you leave the building. That's about it. No vehicle segments, very samey boss fights, no set pieces, nothing. Halo was all about set pieces. I'd say even Halo 5, Halos, Guardian 5 managed that better. Is there anything good about Halo Infinite then? Well, yes, there is. The grappling hook mechanic is the best addition and probably where 85% of the fun comes from in the game. You can use it to grapple objects to you, you can grapple onto terrain, vehicles, other players, enemies. The only issue is that sometimes the game decides it doesn't want you to go where you're trying to go, and your grapple hook will just not grapple onto something for no reason. In general though, they should have called the game Halo Grapple. It's more accurate because this Halo is not infinite, it is extremely finite. Aside from this, the open world, it actually sort of works for this game. If you'd ask 1,000,000 people who played Halo 1 what they, liked about it, I would say probably the second level is a big part of where it started to click for them. First level, Pillar of Autumn, is fine, it's cool, you're on a spaceship. Then the second level, it's such a drastic shift. You go from these confined corridors to this huge open, for like 2002 or whenever the game came out, levels, Sadly, however, the world design of Halo Infinite means the ground vehicles are kind of pointless. Aside from controls that feel demented for some reason, and I've never had a problem with the vehicles, in Halo 1, 2, 3. I don't know why I had such a problem in Infinite. You try and drive for 10 seconds and you go, oh, I'm just going to get out and grapple because it's faster and better. Aside from this, the game does look nice and it ran extremely well for me. My only complaint in terms of, performance would be that every time I wanted to play the game, I had to open the game into multiplayer, then open it again to get into campaign. Not a huge issue, but even with the game on my SSD, the initial loading would take like 5 minutes every time, if not longer. I never timed it, but it was really, really long. I think this might be an Nvidia issue, however, so I won't hold it against Halo, for now. Overall, Halo Infinite is fun enough to play, but it almost feels like it's fun in spite of new developments, not because of them. There's new guns, but I only ever wanted to use the classic Halo weapons because A, they just seem better, B, they look cooler, C, they fulfill all the kind of roles you need. You have a shotgun, a sniper, long range, close range. You have it all. Now it's just, oh, do you want like another close range weapon, but it's like blue instead of red? Like, no, stop. Well, actually, I tell a bit of a lie. My loadout for the entire campaign was the battle rifle and the AA gun that you can just pick up at the very start because it was funny to use that. Stupid things like that are always good, you know? I think everyone loves that about Halo, right? Like in Halo 2, getting the Scarab gun. Nice graphics, good performance, good fun grappling around, really stupid story, pointless story. Co-op is silly because you're all just Chief again. They could have made, you know, player 2 blue, player 3 red, player 4 yellow. Ultimately, I paid nothing for it, as I played it on Game Pass, which I got free from something else, but I still feel a bit cheated. I think they either need to stop making Halo games or just take a pause and think about what it is that people want. I can't speak for everyone else, but when I play Halo, I want to play Halo. I don't want to play Halo inspired by COD or Halo inspired by Breath of the Wild. That's a big part of what made Halo appeal so much in the 2000s. It was its own thing. They didn't just copy what was popular. So realistically, it's hard to suggest Halo Infinite. If you haven't played it, I mean, if you're a Halo fan, you probably have played it years ago. If you haven't played it, and you get the chance to play it co-op with some friends for under $10, $5, go for it. It's worth a few hours of grappling onto each other like psychopaths, leapfrogging around the map. It adds nothing meaningful to the franchise or to gaming as a whole, and I would argue my enjoyment of Halo is lessened because of it in some ways. See, if I had never played another Halo after 3 or Reach, I would look back at that franchise and go, oh yeah, those were some fun games. Now I go, oh yeah, we had Halo 1, 2, 3 and Reach and, you know, ODST. Then we had 4, 5 and 6. So it's like half the franchise now is just bleh. It's sad. If you remember how big Halo was, if you were playing games, if you were around in 2000 and, 2004 to 7, I would say was the peak of Halo-ness. The launch of Halo 3 was such a huge event. It got me hyped. Someone who had played Halo 1 and 2 wasn't, really invested in them though. And if you can't recapture that spark, then just extinguish it.
Oh, did he? He just got out. He said, "I give up."
Oh, yeah, you did. He was like, why are you on my ass? Oh. Okay, well, now we know if you boost into another bench, it fucking explodes.